copyrighted program created by the Rio Grande Oil Company.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars. Attention all cars. Broadcast 136 regarding a murder and suicide at 1929 South Grand Avenue. See the battalion fire chief in charge for details. That's all. Rosenquist.
In the city chemist's office, we find Earl Crawford, chief chemist, working over his tubes and reports. He turns to his co-worker with a sigh of satisfaction.
Well, Jack, I've discovered the secret.
What are you working on? It smells like gasoline.
It is. A very mysterious gasoline. Ever since the city started buying this gasoline, enthusiastic reports have claimed our cars were more efficient than ever. The police cars drive faster, the fire engines develop more power, and the records show we're getting greater mileage per gallon than ever before.
We're using Rio Grande cracked gasoline now in all city cars, aren't we? Is it that good?
Well, it's caused so much comment that they asked me to analyze some Rio Grande crack and tell them if it was dope in some way or to find the secret of its sensational performance.
I see. It does contain tetraethyl, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, but other gasolines have tetraethyl, too. No, the secret of Rio Grande's outstanding performance is its refining process. It's cracked into tiny molecules, infinitesimal atoms, obviously by a patented process, for I've never seen any other gasoline so finely cracked. No wonder it's so much faster than other gasolines. That cracking process is the reason why Rio Grande cracked gasoline gives greater speed, power, and mileage than other gasoline.
You've sold me. I'm going to use Rio Grande cracked in my own car. I see now why more police cars, fire engines, ambulances, and other emergency equipment are powered by Rio Grande cracked gasoline wherever it is sold than any other brand.
And now it is our pleasure to present Captain Bert Wallace, head of the homicide squad of the Los Angeles Police Department. Captain Wallace.
Good evening, friends. Tonight you will hear dramatized the story of a perfect crime, which, like all perfect crimes, was a little imperfect. If the carefully laid plans of the criminal had worked, perhaps he would have escaped. But there seems to be some truth in the belief that there is a law of compensation. I have, in my years of experience in police work, never known of a case where a man broke the laws of society that he was not eventually made to pay for his misdeed. You can break every law but the law of compensation, and in the end, it delivers you up for an accounting with the society you have outraged.
I think I woke up in the building. At least I tried to. I saw smoke coming out from that window up there. So
That's fine. I want to talk to you later if you stick around.
Yes, sir.
There it is, boys. The apartment down the hall. Door's open. Right. All right. Turn your chemicals loose.
Yeah, the blaze don't seem to be nowhere else but right in this room, Chief.
That's right. You better check the walls, though.
Yes, sir.
Looks like it started over by the bed. Come on, Eddie. Let's get that bunch of bedclothes outside and wet them down.
Okay. Here. Give me a hand. Hey.
What's the matter?
Hey, Chief. There's a couple of bodies on this bed. A man and a woman, I think.
Alive?
Well, look for yourself.
Lord. Eddie, you better call the morgue. Open those windows, Smith, and let some of this smoke out. I want to see what started this.
Yes, sir.
That's better.
Hey, Chief. Look here on the floor.
Blood.
Yeah. And here on this dish cupboard. Splattered all over the place.
Looks like we've got more than a little fire here.
What the devil's this? Looks like it might have been a bird or something.
You're right. It was a bird. Probably a parrot.
Hey, you'd think a parrot would have enough sense to keep away from a fire, wouldn't you, Chief?
I don't think this parrot had anything to say in the matter. His neck's been wrung.
Well, you mean somebody killed the bird?
That's what it looks like.
Well, it don't make sense.
Maybe this would help. Look here at this woman. See her head?
Yeah, skull is smashed.
Right. I can't tell anything about the man, too burned. We'll have to let an autopsy show whether he was killed or not.
Oh, that's all the excitement, Chief. I'm Ledbetter from Central.
Glad you got here. We found something that should interest you, boys. Here on the bed.
Oh. Fire got him, huh?
I don't think so. The woman's skull's been smashed with something. I can't tell about the man.
You're right. Patton, you better get Munns up here with his camera and get some shots of this before we move them. And you can tell those reporters outside they can come in now. Hey, they'll love this.
Police photographs are taken of the grisly discovery, and the bodies are removed to the morgue for an autopsy. And in the burned apartment, Ledbetter and Patton, surrounded by reporters, firemen, and occupants of the apartment house, begin a minute investigation.
All right, fellows, get your pictures and then give us a chance.
What do you make of it, lad? You got any ideas?
I can't say anything yet, but it looks like murder and suicide.
Okay, thanks.
Hold it a minute, Ledbetter.
Huh?
Stand back there by the bed, will you? That's it. That's still. Thanks. That was a while.
All right, boys, now you got enough. How about clearing out?
Find anything, let us in on it.
Yeah, I will. Shut the door, Pat. Maybe we can get some work done.
No chance of getting any fingerprints from anything now. That mob fixed that.
Yeah. Well, come on. I want to get a look at that bed. You know, there's a lot of things here that don't make sense.
That parrot, for instance?
Yeah, that and other things, too. Number one, how did the fire start? You can't just set a match to a bed and have it burn this much.
Well, here's the answer to that. Under the bed. A bunch of wadded paper, half burnt.
What's that lying there? Electric heater?
Looks like it was a heater. Hey, what the devil?
What have you found now?
This heater has a gadget attached to it. Take a look for yourself.
Well, of all... Look here. Say, this is what started the fire, all right. And I think it establishes this as a double murder. See here? This watch is wired into the heater cord so that at a certain time the minute hand will make contact and start the heater.
And the heater starts the paper burning, and from there, that's simple.
Yeah, excepting that we don't know who did it.
Yeah, right.
Suppose you look around and see what else you can find while I question a few of the people in the building.
Okay, Led. I'll stick here.
If you find anything, I'll be down the manager's apartment.
Right.
Everybody here, Sergeant?
Yes, sir. Everyone I could find who knew anything.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask you people to be quiet while I ask a few questions. I'll start with you. What's your name?
Sproul's my name. I live directly under the barber's apartment.
Well, did you hear anything last night that might have any bearing on this?
Well, I heard some noise upstairs.
What kind of noise, Mr. Sproul?
Well, it might have been a scream, and then something fell to the floor.
What time was that?
Oh, somewhere around 8:30 it must have been, because I remember I was listening to a radio program, and I heard the announcer say it was 8:30.
Anyone else hear anything like that?
Yes, sir. I did.
What's your name?
Grant, sir. Edward Grant. I live right next to Mr. Sproul here.
Well, if both you gentlemen heard what sounded like a scream, why didn't you investigate it?
Well, you see, sir, I haven't been well, and I can't get up and downstairs so good. Anyway, well, I didn't give it much of a thought.
And you, Mr. Sproul?
Yes, I didn't think much about it either.
Is that all you can tell me?
No, sir. About 10:30, I heard someone moving around up there in the apartment. And then about 12, the noise stopped, and I figured the barbers had been making the noise and had gone to bed, so I went to sleep.
Anything else happen?
Well, to tell you the truth, I guess you're going to think I should have done something, but I didn't. I'm just naturally not suspicious.
I understand, Mr. Sproul.
Well, I woke up about 4:30, and I heard what sounded like someone wadding a paper upstairs. It struck me as kind of funny, but I didn't think it was anything serious, so I listened till it stopped and then went back to sleep.
Is that the last thing you heard until you woke up this morning?
Yes, sir. I slept right through till I heard someone yelling fire, and then I got up and found the building was burning and got out.
Oh, which one of you turned in the fire alarm?
I did.
Oh, you live here?
Oh, no, sir, but I run the market across the street, and I was opening up about 6 o'clock this morning, and I saw the smoke coming out from that window in the apartment there. So I turned in the alarm and woke up everybody in the apartment house and told them to get out.
It's a good thing you happened to see that smoke.
Yes, sir.
Another 10 minutes, the whole place would have been burning.
Beg pardon, Lieutenant.
Yes?
Lieutenant Patton is outside. Says he wants to see you.
Oh, thanks. I'm going to ask you people not to go away until I tell you to. I want to ask some more questions in a little while.
How about me, Lieutenant? I've got a store to run.
Well, I guess it'll be all right for you to go over to your store, but stick around pretty close, if you will.
Yes, sir. I will, sir.
All right. Oh, Pat?
Thought you might want to see this book I found in Barber's room. It's a list of the people who worked for Mr. Barber at his auto park.
Good. Let's see it. Not much here. A few names we might look up and talk to.
You find out anything from the tenants?
Yeah. A couple of guys in there practically listened to the whole thing, but didn't think enough about it to investigate.
You get any leads on who might have done it?
No. But I haven't finished yet. There's still a couple of people in there I haven't questioned.
All right. Let's talk to them.
Okay. This is Lieutenant Patton, who's working with me. He has a few questions to ask you people, and then you can go.
Can any one of you think of anybody that might have had a grudge against the Barbers? Anyone who didn't like them?
I don't think there was anybody didn't like them. They was a real nice couple. They was always so kind to everybody. And especially to that young fellow who worked for Mr. Barber. Treated him like a son.
What's that?
Why, the young man who used to help him around the place here.
What's his name?
I don't know his last name. They called him Fred.
Has he been around here lately?
Oh, sure. He was around all the time, just like one of the family.
Let me see that book again, Pat.
Here you are.
Fred.
You don't think he done it, did you? Why, he was like one of the family.
Yeah, so you said. No, I'm not saying he did it, but I'd like to have a little talk with him. Fred Stetler. Would that be his name, do you think?
I don't know. I never heard his last one. But he wouldn't do a thing like this.
Oh, of course not. Come on, Pat. We're going back to headquarters.
Taking the remains of the heater and the ingenious timepiece attachment back to headquarters, led veteran Patton report to Captain Wallace, head of the homicide squad.
Here's the stuff we picked up out of the apartment, Captain. The fellow who figured this gadget out was pretty smart. He must have known something about watches and electricity to make this work.
Well, that's something to go on. Incidentally, the coroner's report shows that both the bodies had been hit on the head with some heavy object. Might have been a hammer.
That settles it, then. The suicide idea is definitely out. We're looking for a smart murderer.
You know, I got an idea this Fred fellow that man told us about might know something.
It doesn't seem very likely that a man who'd been on such close terms with them would murder them. Where's your motive?
Well, there isn't any yet, but I'm still going to talk to him.
You have his address?
Yes, sir. It was in this book we found. Of course, this may not be the right Fred, but we'll find out soon enough. Was there anything you want us to do, Captain, or shall we go on and look for this fellow?
Go ahead. This is your case. Busted.
Yes, sir. Come on, Pat. Let's go.
At the address given in the little book, the two detectives find that the man known as Fred Stetler is out. But from a neighbor, they learn...
Well, sir, I don't know the fella very well. Speak to him when I see him, that's about all. But it sure struck me funny the way he was acting yesterday. Seemed all sort of nervous-like, and hardly even noticed me when I said hello.
What else?
Well, I remember that it struck me kind of funny about his car.
What about his car?
Well, last night I couldn't get to sleep, and it was kind of warm, so I sat out here on the porch and smoked until pretty late. I guess it was about 1:30 when I went to bed, and Stetler hadn't come home yet.
Was that unusual, Mr. Cook?
Well, it was the first time I can remember that he was out so late. But that ain't all. In the morning, I woke up about 6:45 and looked out, and there was his car in front of the house. Now, I know he never leaves it out in the street. Always puts it in the back. Well, anyway, while I was looking out the window, the door opens, and he comes out of his house and walks to his car. I thought he was leaving early, but he didn't leave.
What did he do, Mr. Cook?
He looked around as though he was afraid someone might see him. And then he reached in and got some stuff out of the back of the car and took it in the house.
What kind of stuff?
Well, I couldn't see just what it was. But a little later, he started a fire out in the backyard and burned some things. I don't say he was doing anything wrong, mind you, but it sure looked funny.
What happened after he burned the trash?
He got in his car and drove away. That's the last time I seen him.
Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Cook. And I want to caution you not to tell anyone what you've told us or anything about our being here. That's very important.
Won't say a word to no one. You can trust me.
Good. Come on, lad. What do you say we poke around that trash heap out back? I'd like to see what he was so anxious to get rid of.
Nothing much left here. Must have been a hot fire.
Some old boots there. Nothing unusual about that.
We better take them with us. Can't tell what's on them.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I hear a car out in front. Might be Stetler.
Come on, around the side where we can see.
young fellow. Looks like he's going to come right to this door. Come on. Just a minute, young fellow.
Huh?
We want to talk to you.
Why, sure. What about?
You live here?
Yes?
And your name must be Stetler, that right?
Yes? Say, who are you?
Detectives. We want to ask you a few questions.
Oh, well, do you mind if I go in the house for a minute? I'll be right back.
No, not at all. We'll come with you.
Well, all right.
You're a friend of Mr. and Mrs. Barber, aren't you, Stetler?
Yes, I've known them some time.
They're pretty fond of you, aren't they?
I guess they are, yes. Why'd you ask?
Did you know that they had met with an accident?
What?
Had been murdered, in fact?
Murdered? Oh, you cannot mean that. It is not possible.
I'm afraid it's not only possible, but it's quite true, Stetler. They were found murdered and burned in their apartment this morning.
Oh, but...
We wondered what you knew about it.
What I knew about it? But this is the first time I'd heard.
Where were you last night, Stetler?
I was here.
All evening?
Yes, that is almost all evening.
Where were you at about 10:30?
I don't know. Driving around somewhere, I think.
You think? It would be better if you knew.
What do you mean? You're not trying to say that I had anything to do with...
With the murder of your good friends, the Barbers?
That is ridiculous. I didn't even see them last night.
Well, how did you know they were murdered last night?
How... You told me. That is how. You told me a minute ago.
Where'd you get the watch, Stetler?
Watch? What watch?
Why, that one on your wrist.
Oh.
What's the matter? You look as though you'd seen a ghost.
It is nothing. I'm a little upset by the news, that is all.
Yes, of course. You would be, being such a good friend and all.
Yes, they were very good friends of mine.
What did you find so important to burn this morning, Stetler? In the backyard, I mean.
Why, nothing in particular, just some trash.
Just some trash, eh?
Yes.
I think you'd better come down to the station with us, Mr. Stetler, just for some routine questioning.
At headquarters, Ledbetter first sends several officers back to the suspect's home with orders to thoroughly ransack the place for clues. Then proceed with the questioning.
Mr. Stetler, the first thing I want to know is exactly where you were last night. We know you weren't at home until after 1:30.
Well, I went over to see my girlfriend. I stayed there for a little while, and then I just drove around. I had a little argument with her, and it upset me.
You didn't go anywhere near the barber's place?
No.
You know a good deal about electricity, don't you, Stetler?
Why, not a lot, no. Why?
Ever work as a watchmaker?
No.
What nationality are you?
Swiss.
Well, isn't it the Swiss who make such fine watches?
I don't know.
Swiss movement? I have one right here that says that on it. Very fine watch, too.
What has that got to do with me? What are you talking about watches for?
Oh, just to pass the time. You don't seem to want to talk, or do you?
I've nothing to say.
Oh, say, lad, speaking of watches, what happened to that one we had around here this morning? You know the one I mean.
Oh, yeah, it's right here in this drawer. Hey, maybe Mr. Stetler'd be interested, huh? It's an amazing little gadget, Stetler. Just an ordinary dollar watch to all appearances, but a mighty dangerous little toy.
Yes?
Yes. Ever seen anything like it before?
No, I have not.
The hour hand's missing, but the rest of it's all here, including some things that weren't on it when it was sold.
Why don't you tell him where we found it?
Well, I didn't think he'd be interested. Would you, Stetler?
Yes, I suppose so. I don't know.
Well, I don't think it will bore you. It was hooked up to an electric heater in the barber's apartment. Right under their bed, in fact. And it was wired up so that when 50 minutes had passed, it turned the heater on and started a fire. Clever, wasn't it?
Yes, very.
You're sure you've never seen it before?
Of course I'm sure. Didn't I just tell you so?
You're getting pretty excited over it.
Well, naturally, I'm upset.
What did you argue with your girlfriend about, Fred?
What?
You said that you'd had an argument with your girlfriend last night, didn't you?
Oh.
Or was I mistaken?
Oh, last night, yes, I did have an argument, but that has got nothing to do with this. I don't see why I should tell you my personal affairs.
All right. It doesn't really matter. We'll just have to ask her, that's all.
Oh, no. Wait. Don't do that. I will tell you.
Oh, never mind. Maybe she'd be more willing to talk.
Wait a minute. I do not want her to get mixed up in this. She's a nice girl, and her family would not like it.
Well, what's the matter, Stetler? You afraid her story won't jive with the one you told us?
No, it is not that.
Come in.
Here's some things the boys found, Lieutenant.
Oh, yes. Just wait out there a minute and I'll be with you. If you'll excuse me a minute, Mr. Stettler. You carry on, will you, Pat?
Sure thing.
All right, Sergeant. What'd you find?
These, Lieutenant.
Well. Where were they?
In a little workshop in Stettler's garage.
Nice work, Sergeant. I'll check with you later about the other things. Right now, I've got the heat on Stettler.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Stettler, I guess there's not much use in keeping you around here any longer.
You mean I can go?
Yeah, you may go. Just as soon as you've told me where you got this.
What is that?
The hour hand off that little watch gadget that you've never seen before. The boys say they found it in your workshop.
It is a lie. Anyway, how do you know it is one of that watch? There's hundreds of watches like that.
And I suppose there are hundreds of blood-stained trousers around every house, too, huh?
What do you mean?
The boys found a pair of pants in your place that had blood all over them. How do you account for that?
Why, I cut myself.
Where?
There? You're just trying to confuse me.
All right, now, Stettler, spill it. We've got enough on you to send you up. And you might just as well make it as easy on yourself as you can.
I did not do it. You can't make me say I did. I did have nothing to do with it.
Listen to me, Stettler. We've got the parts that were missing from that watch. We've got a pair of blood-soaked trousers that belong to you.
No.
We've got a pair of galoshes we found in your backyard with blood on them.
They're not mine.
We found a can in your car that had gasoline used to soak the barber's bed with before you set fire to it.
No.
Now stop shagging us around and come clean, will you?
All right. I will tell you all about it. Only stop pounding at me like that. I cannot stand it.
All right, Stettler, start talking.
All right. Only don't ask me any more questions. I will tell you all about it. I did it because I wanted money. I had to have some money. My girl was going to leave me. I did not know how to get any, so I decided to rob the barbers. Well, last night I went over to their place about 10 o'clock, and when I got up there, they were out. Good. No one home. Who's that? Oh, nothing but that parrot. I thought there was someone here at first. Oh, shut up. I don't know why I don't wring your damn neck. You and your continual squawking. Nuts. If I'm not wrong, this is the drawer where she keeps her money. Not here. That's funny. Maybe it isn't this one. Not here either. Now, what the devil? Here it is. There must be plenty here, too. Now I will not have to worry about Peggy. She'll be plenty surprised when I show her this. That has got it. Now to get out of here.
Hello, Polly. I'll be right in as soon as you get the door open.
Mrs. Barber.
There we are, Polly. Now wait till I get the lights on. I'll give you a present. There now, my little Polly. Why, Fred, what are you doing here?
Shut up.
What do you mean, talking to me like that? Have you been drinking?
No, I have not been drinking. Now shut up and let me think.
Why, what are you doing with that money? You were robbing me. Oh, how could you?
I told you to be quiet, didn't I? I told you not to say anything.
Fred, put that hammer down.
You would not stop talking.
Fred!
You would not do what I told you.
Fred, stop it!
You and that damn parrot.
You don't know what you're doing.
Well, I will stop you. I will make you be quiet for good. I told you I would shut you up, didn't I? Now for you, you squawking bird. Go ahead, talk your head off. You won't be able to in a minute. Now. Now, I guess you won't talk anymore. No. I will not have to listen to you anymore either. Either of you.
Hello, everyone. How's everything? Good God.
They would not stop talking.
Fred.
They would not be quiet.
Put that hammer down. Fred, for God's sakes, put that hammer down. do it.
And what did you do?
I went home and built that heater thing. Then I went back and put the bodies on the bed and wadded up a lot of paper and put it so the heater would start burning when it turned on. Then I poured gas that I'd brought with me on the bed and floor and started the watch and left.
How much money did you get altogether, Stetler?
About $40, I guess. I'm not sure.
And you killed these people for $40?
I killed them because I did not know what else to do. Don't ask me questions. I can't stand it anymore. I'm sorry I killed them. I don't know why I did it. But don't ask me any more questions. Don't ask
me. Fred Stetler was tried and found guilty of murder, 2 counts of burglary, and 1 count of arson. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, but after Alienist had checked his family case history and found that his mother and uncle were both confined in an insane asylum in Switzerland, and that his brother was a sufferer from epilepsy, the judge, in sentencing this man, made the positive injunction that in the event that Stetler should become insane, that he be sent to the state insane asylum and immediately upon his recovery should be returned to the state prison. Upon examination, doctors found Stetler to be not criminally insane, but mentally unbalanced to a marked degree. And so ends the story of the almost perfect crime. Had Stetler's little gadget gone off before the gasoline had evaporated, the entire room would undoubtedly have burned, eliminating the important clues that started the investigation. But his mistake was not in figuring his time rightly. He set the watch to go off in an hour, and forgot that gasoline evaporates in much less time. So, we were able to put this killer safely behind the bars.
Thank you, Captain Wallace. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight and tomorrow, thousands of Calling All Cars fans will go to their neighborhood Rio Grande dealer and ask for a free copy of the latest Calling All Cars news. Get your copy and read about the 14 free gifts for boys and girls given away by Rio Grande to users of cracked gasoline. The same gasoline specified for police and emergency cars of the West's largest cities and counties. If you are a user of cracked gasoline, you are already enjoying police car performance in your own car. And while it's a thrill to test the greater speed and power cracked gasoline gives you, remember your motor needs perfect lubrication at high speeds. Most motor oils break down as you speed up, especially in hot weather. We urge you to protect your motor at all speeds with Sinclair motor oils. They are especially refined to remove waste products, such as wax and jelly, the useless part of most motor oils that is so quickly used up in your car, leaving carbon and gummy deposits. Use Sinclair motor oils in your crankcase, and you are guaranteed perfect motor lubrication under all conditions and at top speed.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars. Attention all cars to cancellation broadcast 136. Suspect in this case are now in custody. That's all. Rolls and Quist.
This is your narrator, Frederick Lindsley, bidding you good night for the Rio Grande Oil Company. Calling All Cars, a copyrighted program created by the Rio Grande Oil Company.
Calling all cars, San Francisco Police calling all cars. Wanted in connection with murder in Visitation Valley. Young girl, described as pretty, black hair, medium height, wearing green dress. Arrest and hold. That is all.
Every listener to this program knows that it is sponsored by Rio Grande Cracked Gasoline.
You also know that many, many cities and counties specify Rio Grande Cracked, that it powers more police and emergency cars than any other brand everywhere it is sold. But do you know what a difference the same gasoline makes in the feel of your own car? You've heard us talk about police car performance. But do you realize that this is not just an advertising phrase? What can we do to induce you to use the same gasoline that police and emergency cars use? Let us remind you that Rio Grande Cracked costs no more than other quality gasolines. And city operating records prove conclusively that it delivers more miles to the gallon than lower quality gasolines. You get greater speed from your car. You will feel the thrill of greater power under the hood. Your motor will be cooler, more efficient, and you will feel less vibration. Will you give us an opportunity to prove all this to you? Drive into any Rio Grande station, fill up with cracked gasoline, and you'll agree there's a world of difference. Thank you. And now it is our pleasure to present the Sheriff of San Francisco County, who will speak to you from the studio of station KFRC in San Francisco, Sheriff Murphy.
Good evening. If ever a criminal case proved that crime does not pay, the one you are about to hear does. The guilty ones are still serving lifetime sentences behind the thick gray walls of San Quentin Prison. I particularly remember this crime because I was acquainted with one of the relatives of the victim who was an old man living by himself, injuring no one, engaged in the peaceful pursuit of raising goats and selling the milk for a bare livelihood. The criminals did not obtain a single cent from him, for he had no money. But listen to how it happened.
Just a few miles outside the bustling mass of people, the never-ending streams of noisy traffic, the towering buildings that make up the harbor city San Francisco, lies a small sloping valley. Although today it has become a thriving little community, at the time this case occurred, it was dotted here and there with tiny sun-baked shacks and inhabited mostly by sheep and goat herders. It was here in one of the tumble-down houses that Gaetano Marcelli lived, a recluse, his nearest neighbor some 300 yards away. Nearly 70 years old, Marcelli supports himself by selling milk from his small herd of goats to the inhabitants of the valley and to the occasional tourists who happen to stop in and refresh themselves before continuing their journey. One morning in September, Gaetano is tending to a sick goat when he hears a car approaching. Looking up, he sees it stop in front of his place, sees two men and a girl get out and walk toward him.
Oh. Hello, old-timer. You got some nice fresh goat's milk?
I no got none of it today, no. But maybe from yesterday I got some. I think it is still fresh.
That'd be all right, Pop. We've never tasted any goat's milk, and we thought we'd like to try it.
All right. You come into the house. I'm a find you some finer goat's milk, yeah.
Okay. That suits us. Have Phil? Sure. Perfect.
You like to sit down, eh? Maybe the lady, she's tired.
Oh, no. No, I'm all right, thank you. I'd rather stand.
Yeah, don't worry about her. Now, let's get some milk.
All right. It is here in this sack over here.
How about it, Johnny? Let's stop this stalling. Keep your shirt on. I'll take care of him when he brings the milk.
All right, here you are, mister. It ain't quite so fresh, but she's good and cold.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Now, suppose you tell us where you keep that dough you've got hidden around here.
What's that?
You heard him. Where's your money? We know you got plenty, and we're here to relieve you of it.
Why, you must make a mistake. I got no money. I only got this goat's milk.
Now, listen to me, old-timer. Huh? We happen to know you've got $10,000 in cash hidden around this dump of yours somewhere.
Now, listen.
And we're not leaving till we get it, see? Now, how about it?
I'm going to tell you, mister.
You want to be a good boy and tell us where it's hidden, or do we have to get tough?
Oh, Johnny, you promised you wouldn't.
Shut up, Edie. I'll handle this my own way. Oh, Marcelli, kick in and make it fast.
I'm a swear to you, I got no money. I got nothing but a good milk.
Oh, Johnny.
Shut up. I'll make this old buzzer talk if I have to break every bone in his mangy body.
Please, mister, I tell you the truth. Please, no. Please, do Don't hit me no more. I'm an old man.
All
miss,
right.
please.
Stop crying and tell us where you got that dough.
No, please, I can't give you no money. I ain't got no money, I tell
Johnny,
you.
this old bird wants to sing.
I'll show you what we'll do. Hand me that crab.
Johnny, you promised you wouldn't hurt the old man. You gave me your word.
I said I wouldn't hurt him if he talked.
Oh, no.
He won't talk,
No, please, no. What are you going to do with that crab?
You tell me where the money is?
I ain't got no money. On the grocery
You asked
milk.
for it, John.
No.
Tell him Johnny, you'll bring the whole hillside in a minute.
Yeah, thanks for the help, Phil. Now tear this place apart. That dough's around here somewhere.
San Francisco Police Department.
I want to report a murder.
One moment, please. I'll connect you with homicide.
Homicide Department, McGinn speaking. Hello. This is Sidney Morris out in Visitation Valley. There's been a murder out here. At least I think it's murder. All right, young fellow, one thing at a time. Where exactly are you now? Out at old Gaetano Marcellus' place. It's at 605 Wallace Avenue. 605 Wallace Avenue. All right, go ahead. Well, my sister-in-law found the old man a few minutes ago lying in a pool of blood in his house. He's beaten up something awful. Did you try to talk to him or anything? Oh, no, sir. He's not able to talk. I think he's dead. All right, you stay right there. And don't touch anything, understand? Well, don't worry. I won't. Good, I'll be right out. Hey, Mac.
Yes, sir.
Send an ambulance out to this address right away. And tell the boys to stand by if the guy's dead. If not, take him in and patch him up. I'll be out there about the time they are.
By the time Lieutenant McGinn arrives at the little shack, the ambulance crew has already taken the unconscious but still living Marcelli to the hospital. McGinn asks Deputy District Attorney Walter Schiller to go to the hospital and question the victim, then settles down to an investigation of the facts at the shack.
Miss Jones, you were the person who discovered the old man, I believe.
Yes, sir.
I suppose you tell me about it. Just what happened.
Well, I've been buying goat's milk from him every day for almost a year. So today I came over to get some and found him that way, all beaten and crushed. Oh, Lieutenant, it's awful.
Yes, of course, I know. I can appreciate how you must feel. Now, have you any idea who might have done this?
No, sir. There just doesn't seem to be any reason for it. Why, old Gaetano was one of the most harmless people I've ever known. He couldn't have had any enemies.
No, and yet someone beat him up. That doesn't quite jibe, does it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, that's all right, miss. I won't need you anymore. Suppose you go home and get some rest. You look as though you needed some.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I'm sorry to be such a crybaby.
Oh, I think nothing of it. You just run along now, and thanks for the help.
Beg pardon, Lieutenant, but there's a woman here says she knows something about this. You want to talk to her?
Why, certainly, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. This is Lieutenant McGinn, ma'am. He's in charge here. You just tell him what you know.
Well, I don't know that it has anything to do with all this, really, but yesterday in the late afternoon sometime, I seen a car come up and pass Gaetano's house real slow. And then a few minutes later, it come back by again and stopped. Just down the road there where I could see it plain as day.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Well, there was a couple of young men in it and a girl. A pretty girl she was, too.
Well, what makes you think they had anything to do with this?
Oh, they was acting funny like, peering over at Gaetano's place and talking among themselves. They looked suspicious to me.
Can you give me any sort of a description of them?
Well, best as I could see, the girl had on a bright green dress. And she had black hair, very black hair.
Do you notice anything about the car?
I ain't much at knowing one from another. It had white tires, though. I remember that.
White tires? Pardon me a moment, ma'am. Hey, Sergeant.
Hey, yes, sir.
Go find the nearest phone and call headquarters. Tell them to get out a general search for a car with white wall tires. Also a girl with black hair wearing a bright green dress. And make it fast.
Yes, sir.
Also have every car rental place in town checked. Every garage.
Yes, sir.
Eddie.
Yes, Lieutenant.
You stick around here. Question everybody who knows anything and report to me. I'm going over to the hospital and see the old man, if he's still with us.
And at the hospital, Detective Lieutenant McGinn joins Deputy Schiller at the bedside of old Gaetano Marcelli. It is obvious that the old man has only a few hours of life left.
Gaetano, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it, but I got no money. No, only got the milk.
He's delirious.
If only he could get to tell me. tell me who it was. Gaetano, now listen to me. Who did this, Gaetano? Who hit you?
No money. Only God's milk. Oh, please, maybe don't hit me no more, please.
No use, Alan. You can't get anything out of him.
I'm afraid you're right, Walter. If only he could remember. It might clear the whole thing up.
Oh, I've tried to talk to him ever since I got out here. So far, he doesn't do anything but mumble about money and goat's milk.
Yeah, I heard.
They want my money. They beat me. Real bad. Real bad. Oh.
He's talking. Who beat you, Gaetano? Try to think. We want to help you.
They beat me. The man and the girl, she was kind of pretty, but they beat me. Oh, beat me with clubs. Bad. Beat me.
Did you get that, Walter?
Yeah.
He says there was a girl. And the people I talked to out there gave me a description of a pretty girl and two men who were around the place today. Come on.
Okay.
I'm going out and look for a car with white tires driven by two men and a girl in a green dress.
All that day, Lieutenant McGinn and Deputy Schiller make the rounds of garages. You drive rental agencies. Keep an alert eye out for the wanted car and occupants, but no trace of it can be found. The following morning, Gaetano Marcelli dies, having given no further clue as to the identity of his assailants. And McGinn turns with more determination than ever to the task of locating the car. At last, 2 days after the murder, he approaches his 15th rental place for the day. Addresses the manager.
How do you do? You're the manager of this place?
Yeah, that's me. What can I do for you? Rent you a nice car?
Well, not exactly. I'm looking for a car, though. A car with white tires on it.
White tires? You mean you want white tires? Sure, I have just the thing.
You have one with white tires?
Sure, why not?
Ah, this is too good to be true.
What's that?
Oh, I was just thinking out loud. I'd like to introduce myself. Detective Lieutenant McGinn of the San Francisco Police.
A policeman, so? What have I done? The policeman should be asking me questions.
You don't have to worry. I don't know what you've done, and I don't care. What I really want is the names of the people who last rented that car with white tires and the date it was rented out.
Sure, that's easy. I got it right here in my books.
Fine.
Let me see now. Would you have any idea about when it might have been out?
Yeah, I think so. This is the 4th, isn't it?
That's right.
2 days ago would be the 2nd. Suppose you look around the 2nd of this month.
Sure. August the 9th, August the 20th, September. Here we are, September the 2nd. That's a Chrysler Roadster. Let's see. Yeah, it was out on the 2nd.
When did it go out?
Wait a minute. Here it is, on the 1st.
Who rented it?
The names here are Philip Mangarine and John Cusack. Oh, yeah, I remember them now. They was the fellows I had a little trouble about the money with.
What was that?
Well, they said they'd bring me some money when they came back, but they didn't. I had a terrible time getting them to pay.
You got their addresses there?
Sure, right here in black on white.
Good. I'll take this book with me. It might be important.
Oh, but I got to have that on my business.
Don't worry. We'll take good care of it. You can have it back as soon as I'm through with it. But right now, I need it more than you do.
Returning to his office, McGinn locks the valuable book in his safe and, taking 2 officers with him, proceeds at once to the address given by Philip Mangarine.
Here's the place, boys. I don't think we'll have any trouble, but we'll stand by in case. Mr. Mangarine?
Yes?
Put on your hat. You're taking a ride with us.
Hey, what's this all about?
Police officers, Mangarine. Now, come on, make it fast.
What's the charge?
Suspicion of murder. Take him in, boys.
And a few minutes later, at another rooming house...
All right, Cusack. No use talking. You're coming with us. And the less you say about it, the better.
Yeah, but what's it all about?
Funny how you fellows always say the same thing. But if you're interested, we're arresting you on suspicion of murder.
Murder?
Nasty word, isn't it, Cusack? All right, come on, get going.
Taking the protesting Johnny Cusack directly to his office, McGinn has Mangarine brought in, too, and together the 2 men sit before him, an instant denial springing to their lips at every question.
What was your idea in bumping off the old man? That's what I'd like to know.
That's a bum beef. We didn't bump him off. Not anyone else. You got the wrong guys.
Oh, I don't think so. You boys are in a pretty tight spot. We know more about all this than you think we do.
Don't let him bluff you, Phil. He hasn't got anything on us, and he knows it.
He's not bluffing anybody.
Right. And neither are you boys. Why don't you tell me the truth and get it over with?
We're telling you the truth.
You boys stick pretty close together, don't you? Well, just where were you on the morning of September the 2nd?
I don't remember.
Maybe I can refresh your memory for you. Have you ever seen this book before?
No.
Sure?
Yeah, I said no.
How about you, Cusack?
Yeah, I never seen it either.
Well, now, isn't that strange?
Yeah, what's so strange about it?
Simply the fact that both your names are written in it, as well as your addresses.
What? Where'd you get that book?
Oh, you begin to remember it now, huh?
I didn't say that. Let me see it closer.
Why, sure. Here, help yourself.
Oh, yeah. Sure, I've seen this before. Only I didn't recognize it at first.
How about you, Margarita?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it now. It's from that auto rental place.
Yeah, that's right. Now, what I want to know is, where did you go on the day you rented that car?
Well, we just drove around a bit. Didn't go anywhere in particular.
Didn't drive out to Visitation Valley by any chance, did you?
Why, I don't think so, no.
You don't think so? Don't you know where you drove?
I can't exactly remember everywhere we went.
Who was the young girl with you?
What young girl?
Don't tell me you've forgotten that, too. You certainly have a pretty bad memory. How about you, Margarine? You remember the young lady?
Well,
All right, boys, all right. Spill it. Run into a dead end, and you might as well tell me all about it.
Well, I don't see what difference it makes if we did have a dame with us. We didn't do anything wrong.
Of course not. What was her name?
Edith.
Edith what?
Watson.
Now we're getting places. Where does this Edith live?
Listen, what do you have to go mixing her up in this for? She was just out riding with us, I'm telling you.
I know. Now, where does she live?
Over on Larkin Street, the Bryn Mawr Apartments.
Thanks. Well, I guess you boys can go back to yourselves until I talk to your girlfriend. And while you're there, think it over. Maybe that by the time I'm back, you'll have remembered a little more all about this.
But upon arriving at the Bryn Mawr, McGinn is met by an elderly woman who says she is the girl's mother.
I've come to have a little talk with your daughter, ma'am. Is she in?
Why, no. Edith isn't living here anymore. That is, not at the present time.
Well, could you tell me where I might find her?
Well, I'm afraid I can't. You see, Edith told me she wanted to visit a friend of hers who lives in Los Angeles. And the other day, that is, 2 days ago, she packed up and left. I don't know exactly where she's staying down there.
Didn't she give you any idea where you could reach her? Any forwarding address?
Well, she mentioned the Whitehall Apartments, but I couldn't say for sure whether that's where she is or not. What is it you wanted?
Oh, nothing important, ma'am. Just wanted to talk to her, that's all. But if she's in Los Angeles, well, I guess I'll just have to wait till she comes back here. Well, thanks for the information anyhow.
Well, you're quite welcome. Only I'd like to know why you wanted to talk to her.
Oh, it was nothing important, really. Don't give it another thought. If she writes you or anything, why, just jot down her address, and maybe I'll come back to see her later. Good day, ma'am. The Homicide Squad, Los Angeles Police. Please send someone to Whitehall Apartments, your city, to pick up girl. Name, Edith Watson. Black hair, wearing green dress. This girl wanted in connection with murder. Hold and notify this department. Begin, Homicide Department, San Francisco Police.
And upon receipt of this message, Lieutenant Hamilton of the Los Angeles Police Department, in company with a fellow officer, go at once to the apartment house where they interview the landlady. Discover that a tenant of hers has a guest, a young girl with black hair. Climbing the stairs, the detectives stop in front of one of the doors. Then...
Who is it?
Police, ma'am. Open the door.
Oh, well, just a minute. Yes?
You the party that lives here?
Yes?
You have a guest staying with you, is that right?
Why, yes, a friend of mine.
Is she in now?
Why, yes. Do you want to speak to her?
If you don't mind.
Edith?
Oh, yes?
There's some men here to see you.
Oh, all right, I'm coming. Yes? What is it?
They're policemen.
Police?
I'm afraid you'll have to come along with us, miss. They got orders to arrest you for the San Francisco police.
Oh, but I haven't done anything.
Yeah, that's all right, ma'am. We can talk about that later. Right now, we're in kind of a hurry. And, you'd better come along, too, miss. Just a matter of formality, of course.
Well, I don't know what Edith is mixed up in, but of course I'll come.
That's fine. All right. Let's go.
Next day, Edith is taken to San Francisco and turned over to Lieutenant McGinn. And McGinn, wise to the ways of a woman, questions her in his office.
Sit down, Edith.
Thank you.
There are just a few things I want to talk to you about. And if you'll answer them truthfully, why, this won't take long.
Yes, sir.
In the first place, why did you go to Los Angeles?
Why? Why, I don't know. I'd wanted to go down there for a visit for a long time, and this seemed like a good time to do it.
Why at this particular time? Why not before?
Before what?
Before what happened out in Visitation Valley.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Would you like me to tell you about it?
Why?
Well, it isn't a very pretty story. It's about an old man. So old he couldn't defend himself. Who got beaten with a club until he didn't have a bone left in his body that wasn't broken.
Oh, please.
Not a very pretty picture, is it, Edith?
It's horrible.
And why don't you save yourself the details and tell me exactly what happened out there that day?
I asked them not to hit him. I pleaded with them, but they wouldn't listen to me.
And what happened?
They beat him and kept asking him where his money was hidden. And he kept saying that he didn't have any money and kept begging them not to hit him. And they kept right on.
They? You mean Cusack and Mangarine?
Yes, they did it. I don't care what they think. I hate them. They beat him.
Will you testify to this in court, Edith?
In court? Do I have to say that in front of them?
Think of what they did.
Yes. Think of what they did. All right. I'll tell everything. And I hope they hang them. I hope they hang them.
Armed with this confession and a promise that Edith will testify in court, McGinn closets himself with prosecuting attorney Peter Mullins. And the two of them spend hours preparing a foolproof case against Mangarine and Cusack.
I don't see how we can slip up on this, Alan. It's perfect.
Yeah, I know it's perfect. But I don't want to take any chances. I've had too many perfect cases suddenly blow up in my face when some slippery mouthpiece pulled a lot of strings.
I know. I've had the same thing happen to me.
Well, the main idea is to let those two think they have us bluffed. That's why I don't want to tell them about the girl's confession. They might be able to think up some story between now and the time we go to trial.
You mean you want her for an ace in the hole, eh?
Exactly. We'll introduce as much evidence against them as we can from various witnesses and such, and then for the grand finale.
I get it. You've got a conviction practically in your hands, Alan.
Well, it all depends on you when we get into court. You're the one that does the talking there. I'm just a detective.
Well, don't worry. With a case like this, I can't lose.
And one day in Judge J.J. Kerbuco's court in San Francisco, the trial begins. In a steady line, the witnesses are sworn in, their testimony given. First comes a milkman who says,
Sure. I seen him leaving Marcelli's house that morning, but I didn't think nothing of it. Lots of times people stop by to buy some goat's milk from the old man. If I'd have known what was going on, I'd have sure stopped him, and you can bet your life on that.
Next witness is a friend of Cusack's who says,
Yes, sir. I saw Johnny driving a car with white tires. I yelled at him, but he didn't seem to want to see me. He was with that other fella there and the girl.
One after another, witnesses are produced, and each one tightens the noose around the prisoners' necks. And then, late one afternoon, after 3 days of the trial, prosecuting Mullins plays his final card.
I should like to call Miss Edith Watson to the stand, please.
Miss Edith Watson. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help your God?
I do.
Take the witness there, please.
What's the idea of putting her on the stand? What's that dame up to?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
Miss Watson.
Listen.
I want you to tell the jury, in your own words, exactly what happened in Gaetano Marcella's house the morning in question.
Well, Johnny Cusack and Phil Mangarine and I drove out to the old man's house. We were going to rob him, but I didn't know there was going to be any violence. I thought they were just going to rob him. But when the old man said he didn't have any money, the boys started to beat him. I begged him to stop. Johnny's promised me to stop.
I'll fix that little chap. I'll fix it so she can't walk. The dirty critter.
But talk she does. And And when she is through, there is no doubt in the jurors' minds as to what verdict to bring in. After only 15 minutes, they return with a verdict of guilty and a recommendation for leniency for the girl. And as a result, the following day, Judge Tribuco pronounces sentence.
Philip Mangarine, John Cusack, stand and face the court. Before I pass judgment on you, have you anything to say?
Yeah, but it wouldn't do no good.
Very well. You have been found guilty of first-degree murder. Unfortunately, the members of the jury have made it impossible for me to give you the sentence you deserve. However, I can do the next best. John Cusack and Philip Mangarine, for the murder of Gaetano Marcelli, I sentence you to life imprisonment in the state penitentiary.
And a few days later, Edith Watson is given a sentence of 10 years, suspended, and put on probation. Judge Tribuco explaining his actions by saying,
In turning state's evidence, this girl's testimony was instrumental in convicting the actual killers. Also, it has never been shown that she was in any way connected with the murder, although she was a party to the attempted robbery. Therefore, I feel that the long-term probation would serve a much better purpose than a jail sentence.
Calling All Cars invites every boy and girl to join the Junior Police Department. We offer you a complete detective outfit free. Get Dad or Mother or one of your neighbors to drive you into your neighborhood Rio Grande station. Ask for your free copy of the Calling All Cars news and learn all about Rio Grande's 14 free gifts. We owe a great deal to you millions of boys and girls who listen to this program. You have induced your parents to try Rio Grande Cracked, and hundreds of letters testify to the unusual distinctive qualities of this gasoline. All we ask is that you give Rio Grande Cracked a fair trial. We are confident that your car will develop greater speed and power and that you'll get a new thrill out of Rio Grande's police car performance. There's another big value at all Rio Grande stations, and that is Sinclair Motor Oil. When you get your next crankcase drain, give your Rio Grande dealer the job. He'll refill with Sinclair Motor Oil from refinery-sealed cans, and you'll quickly discover your motor runs smoother, cooler, and that you need seldom add another quart. That's because all the impurities are removed from Sinclair Motor Oil. Those elements that cause carbon, that gum up your valves, that burn away so easily in hot motors, are already extracted from Sinclair Motor Oil, leaving only a pure oil that gives you more miles for your money than ever before.
Calling all cars, San Francisco Police calling all cars. Cancellation broadcast 137. Suspects in this case now in custody. That is all.
This is your narrator, Frederick Lindsley, bidding you good night. Calling all cars, a copyrighted program created for the Rio Grande Oil Company.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars, attention all cars, broadcast 138 regarding a man wanted for murder. Describes 5 feet 7 inches, weight about 150 pounds. This man is very noticeably cross-eyed. That's all. Rosenquist.
In gathering the material for tonight's broadcast, the writer interviewed officers of the police department. One of the oldest police car drivers volunteered this story.
Sure, I'm glad to tell you all I know about this case. I owe a lot to Rio Grande. Of course, you know we use your cracked gasoline in our police cars. No fooling, you've got a great gasoline. We've tried them all, but you can't beat Rio Grande Cracked when you got to start your engine and get going in a hurry. Now, let me tell you a little experience. One night we were cruising around as slow as possible in high gear when all of a sudden the car comes tearing around the corner at top speed and headed right for us. Driver couldn't stop. Looked like a smash-up, sure. But I slammed down the throttle and our car shot ahead so fast, well, we kept in front of the speeding car by inches for half a block. Then the fellow turned down a side street and tried to make a getaway. We had to go clear around the block. But we counted on the power and speed in our Rio Grande cracked gasoline. And sure enough, we caught up with the speeder in 2 blocks. Rio Grande cracked gets the credit for emergency performance in saving us from a smash-up and for outspeeding a dangerous speeder.
Is it any wonder that more police cars, fire engines, ambulances, and other emergency equipment are powered by Rio Grande cracked gasoline wherever it is sold than any other brand? Try it in your own car. Once more, it is our pleasure to present Captain Bert Wallace, head of the homicide squad of the Los Angeles Police Department. Captain Wallace.
Good evening, friends. One of the most fascinating aspects of police work is the motive for crimes committed by non-professional criminals. These range all the way from insane jealousies of crimes of passion to murder where fear pulled the trigger of the gun. To this category of non-professional crimes belongs the case you are about to hear. The motive lay hidden in the delusions of grandeur upon which the circumscribed ego of the murderer fed. The murder he committed was not premeditated, but he was nevertheless a dangerous man, for when his carefully nurtured ego became the object of ridicule, he murdered. It is all the too frequent cases of this type which demand that your police officer be a practical psychologist as well as a good shot and fingerprint expert.
Early one February evening in 1930, a Chrysler coupe pulls up in front of an old whitewash store at the corner of Clinton Street and Griffith Avenue in Los Angeles. 3 men climb out, stand in huddled conversation at the curb.
Boy, have I got the jitters. This business has got me all covered with goose pimples.
Yeah, you're looking.
Well, if it's all the same to you fellows, I'll be on my way. Thanks for the lift.
Don't mention it. Sorry you won't come along with us.
Yeah, why don't you? I'd like to, but I've got things to do. Thanks anyway.
Okay. Take care of yourself.
So long.
So long. Seems like a nice guy. Too bad he didn't want to play. Well, let's get going.
You think it's all right?
Sure it's all right. Say, to hear you go on, you'd think we were a couple of mugs out to rob a bank or something.
Well, you know how tough the law is about speakeasies and crap games in this town. I'd sure hate to get picked up.
Don't worry. You won't get into any trouble. I've been here lots of times. I know the joint. Come on, let's go.
Okay. Every time we feel like a little drink of beer or something, we got to sneak around in dark alleys and hold our breath.
All right. Lay off the philosophy. Here's the alleyway that leads up to the joint. Follow me.
Lead on, MacDuff. What's up?
There's a guy standing in that shadow. Maybe it's the law.
And what are we waiting for? Let's go back.
No good. He's seen us. Here he comes.
I knew something was going to happen.
Oh, shut up. If he asks what we're doing, well, we're looking for Mr. Jones or something.
Yeah, an original thought.
Hold it. We'll know in a second.
Hello, fellas. Mind if I talk to you a minute?
Why, no. Of course not. What's on your mind?
I want to talk to Murphy. Which one of you's Murphy?
He knows your name, Jim.
Yeah, that's funny.
Are you Murphy?
That's my name. What do you want?
I want you to put your hands up.
What?
I said put up your hands. I've got a gun.
You don't say. Well, of all the... Will you look at this guy's eyes, Bob? Oh, they're so crossed he couldn't hit the side of a barn with a shotgun.
Now, listen. Don't you fellas make me shoot. I've got a gun, and I'll sure use it if you don't put your hands up.
Oh, put that toy away and beat it before I slap your wrist.
Watch it, Jim. He might mean it.
Why, he's nothing but a silly-looking kid. He wouldn't shoot a...
Oh, whoa! You shot him. You shot Jim, and he didn't do anything.
I told you to do it. I told you not to laugh at me.
What's going on over
there? Don't you come over here. I don't want to have to shoot you, too, so stay away. I shot them, and I'll shoot you, too, if you don't go away. I'll shoot you, too.
Shouting at the top of his lungs, the cross-eyed gunman runs down the alley and disappears into the darkness, the still smoking gun in his hand. The stranger, who had said goodbye to Murphy and Leslie just a few minutes before, rushes across the street to find the 2 men sitting on the running board of their car, blood pouring from wounds in their stomachs. Murphy dispatches him to call for an ambulance and then lapses into a coma, from which he emerges several moments later. He turns to Leslie.
Bob, are you all right?
I don't know. My stomach's on fire. I don't feel so good.
Wish that guy would hurry with an ambulance.
So do I.
I can't stand this much longer. It's burning.
Listen, maybe that's it now.
Hang on, Bob. You gotta hang on.
I can't stand it, Jim. It's burning too much.
Here it is. Come on, boys. Hey, Where's that guy that called, I wonder?
Probably scared to come back. Here they are.
Get us to a hospital. Hurry.
All right, fella. You'll be okay in a jiffy. Who plugged you?
I don't know. Please, hurry.
Get him over to Georgia, Bill. They hit bad.
Right. All right, Slim. You can bring that stretcher over here. Better make it 2. We got a full house.
Rushed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, the 2 men are operated on and the bullets removed from their bodies. And a few minutes later, Lieutenant Lefty James, head of the gangster squad, in company with Captain Blaine Steed, questions them.
Now, how do you feel?
How'd you feel with a slug in your stomach?
Not so good, I guess. Who did it?
I don't know.
How about you? Can you tell who shot you?
I never saw the fellow before in my life.
Now, listen, boys. There's no use in your trying to clam up on us. We coppers are your friends. All we want to do is find out who's behind this.
Honest, I don't know who it was. He just stepped up and told us to put our hands up.
Did you do it?
No,
He's telling the straight goods, Cap. Neither one of us knew the guy.
I can't figure you fellows out. What have you got to hide? This probably means the finish for both of you, and that you won't talk.
Listen, officer. That kid lying there is a butcher. He's been out of work, but he's no hijacker. Neither am I. I run a rooming house over at 1625 Juanita Street. If you don't believe me, go over there and check up on me.
All right, Murphy. Supposing we believe. Can you tell us anything about the guy that did it?
Well, all I know is he's so cockeyed that nobody take him seriously. I didn't, and look what happened. But I'll tell you this much. I'd know him in a million if I ever saw him again. You get the cockeyedest looking guy you can find, and he's it.
And while the search for a cockeyed gunman begins, 2 officers combing the Griffith and Clinton district find a Chevrolet coupe parked a block away from the scene of the shooting, bearing the registration of a Mrs. Vera Smith of 734 Stanford Avenue. Upon repeated inquiries in the vicinity, it is discovered that no Mrs. Smith is known. And following up this lead, the 2 officers arrive at the address on Stanford Avenue.
Here we are.
Yeah? Hit the buzzer.
Okay. It isn't a buzzer, it's a bell.
All right. Same thing in the long run.
Yes?
Are you Mrs. Vera Smith?
I am. And you look like police officers.
That's right, lady, we are.
Have you any news about my car?
Why, yes. That's what we came to see you about.
Then you found it. Oh, I'm so glad. I was sure I'd never see my little car again, and it's the pride and joy of my life. I've had
Yes,
it.
of course. If you'll pardon my interrupting you, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Oh, of course.
We have your car in our possession, Mrs. Smith. What we want to know is how did it get to the corner of Clinton and Griffith, and what was it doing there?
Well, I don't know. It was stolen, you know, and so naturally I reported
Pardon
it.
me,
Then...
you say your car had been stolen?
Why, yes. Isn't that what you came to see me about?
No, ma'am. We came to find out what your car was doing over by the scene of a shooting tonight. We found it parked a block away.
Well, I don't know. I only know that it was stolen.
When was
and then...
it stolen, Mrs. Smith?
Why, tonight sometime.
How did you know it had been stolen?
Well, perhaps I'd better tell you the whole story.
That's a good idea, ma'am.
Well, last night, an acquaintance of mine, a man I've known for some time, came
What's
to the house.
his name?
Fulton. Red Fulton. I don't see what difference that can possibly make.
It may. Go on with your story.
Well, as I was saying, this friend came over last night and asked if he could borrow my car. He said his was in a garage and he had to go somewhere, so I said, I guess so.
And?
Well, he had a man with him, and well, I've got to admit I didn't like his looks.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there wasn't really anything wrong with him, but, well, I just didn't like his looks. And the 2 of them drank some beer here, and then they left, and...
With your car?
Yes.
And how do you figure it was stolen?
Well, I'm coming to that if you'll give me time. Anyway, about an hour ago, Red called me and said that my car had been stolen, so naturally that's what I thought you were here for.
Where does this Red Fulton live, Mrs. Smith?
Well, I don't see why I should tell you that. He had nothing to do with this, I'm sure.
You're probably right, but suppose you tell us his address anyway.
Well, of course, if you say it that way, what else can I do?
Exactly.
Well, he runs a rooming house at 721 8th Street. You'll find him there.
Thanks, Mrs. Smith. Come on, Ed. Let's talk to Fulton.
At headquarters, the 2 officers report their findings, and a search is immediately started for the missing Red Fulton. And then, less than an hour later, the phone in the homicide office is answered by a sleepy officer.
Hello. Homicide detail. Hart speaking.
This is Attorney Ray Reams, Hart. I'm over at my office, and I've got a fellow over here that you want to see.
Who's that?
Red Fulton.
What?
Yes. He says he's willing to come over and talk, but he says he doesn't know much.
Send him over right away, will you? I'll tell the captain. He'll be glad to hear this.
Okay. He'll be over in about 15 minutes. Goodbye.
Come in, Mr. Fulton. Sit down.
Thanks.
Smoke?
Oh, no, thanks. Maybe I would, thanks.
Sure. Help yourself.
Thanks.
Well, Fulton, what's this all about?
I don't know. All I know is that when I stopped in at Vera's tonight, she said you fellas were looking for me, and I knew I hadn't done nothing, so I came over.
That was the smart thing to do, Fulton. What's all this about Mrs. Smith's car being stolen from you?
Well, like I told her, I parked it over by my place, and a little while later, when I came out, it was gone. That's all I know, honest.
Who was the fellow that you had over at Vera's last night?
Oh, he was a young fella that used to room at my place. He's been out of work, and I was sorry for him, so I took him up for a bottle of beer and a bite to eat, that's all.
He doesn't happen to be cross-eyed, does he?
No, his eyes are all right.
Mrs. Smith tells us that he wore heavy glasses. Why?
Well, he has a piece of steel in his eye, and he's been wearing them for that.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Fulton, I can't list you as a suspect very well. Your eyes are certainly good enough.
You said it, Cap.
Yeah, I guess you might as well run along. If I want you for anything, I can reach you at your rooming house.
Yeah, any time, Cap.
All right. Thanks for coming in. Oh, pardon me. Hello. Yeah, Steed talking. Yes. I see. All right, thanks. Well, Fulton, it's a lucky thing you're in the clear on this deal.
How's that, Cap?
The younger of those two fellows, Bob Leslie, just died, which makes this a murder.
Broadcast to all points. Be on the lookout for a cross-eyed man about 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing 150 pounds. He is wanted for murder. Calling all cars, attention all cars. Wanted for murder. Man, 5 feet 7, 150 pounds. Very cross-eyed. This man is armed. Pick up all suspects answering this description. That is all.
Yeah, that's a hot one, Frank. A cross-eyed gunman. And boy, I'd sure hate to be near him when he started shooting.
Well, if you could figure out where he was looking, it might not be so bad.
Yeah, if. Hey, you know, the more I think about it, the more I realize you cops ain't in the softest ranking in the world. And I used to think maybe I'd join the force. That is, if they'd let me, of course. The more I read about these killers and stuff, the less I like the idea.
Oh, it's not so bad, Eddie. Free rides on trolley cars, apples from the fruit peddlers. It's only when you get in a tough spot that you sometimes wish you were a drug clerk or something like you.
Oh, wait a minute, Frank. I got a customer.
Oh, yes, sir. Give me a chocolate soda, not too much chocolate in it.
Yes, sir. With you in a minute. Hey, Frank. Take a look at that guy. He's got cross eyes.
Thanks, Eddie. Go ahead with your business. I'll look him over.
Hey, are you making me a soda or having a little social gab fest? How about it?
Right away, sir. I'm sorry.
What's the matter, buddy? In a hurry?
Sure, I'm in a hurry. I'm not used to sitting around soda fountains waiting all day for a little service.
What's your name?
What's that to you?
Well, maybe nothing, maybe plenty. I'd advise you not to play tough boy, though. What's your name?
Now, looky here. You may be a cop or an officer, but that doesn't give you any right to go around bulldozing taxpayers. I got nothing to hide, but I don't see any reason for
Save that soda, Eddie. I'm taking your customer for a little trip.
Huh?
You and I are going down to headquarters and have a talk with the lieutenant.
I don't want to talk to the lieutenant.
I know, but maybe he wants to talk to you. Come on.
Now, if you'll just relax for a moment, we'll get this over with. I only want to ask you a few questions. In the first place, what's your name?
He doesn't feel like telling us, Lieutenant Condifer. That's the main reason I brought him in.
Mr. Whoever you are. You may not know it, but you're breaking the law right now.
How?
By refusing to answer questions.
Well, of course, Now, it's not that I care whether you know my name or not, but, well, there's another party who'd like to know it, and if they did, it would be terrible for me.
I see. Well, I can assure you that we're not in the private detective business, if that's what you're afraid of.
Well, in that case, my name's Joe Griddle.
And where were you last night, Mr. Griddle, about 9 o'clock?
Do I have to tell you that?
Well, it would help.
Well, now, looky here, fellas. I'll tell you the truth if you'll promise not to give me away.
That depends on what you tell us.
Well, of course. But you see, it's like this. Now, my ex-wife's in town, and she's looking for me. And when she's on the warpath, well, I can't tell you how bad she is, but she's something awful. So, naturally, I'm not anxious to have her find me.
How about last night?
Well, I guess it won't matter. I was over at a friend's house most of the evening.
A girlfriend, Mr. Riddle?
Yeah. Oh, and she'd be sore as the devil if anyone was to know because, well, you see, she's sort of married like.
I think I understand. Would your friend have any objection to verifying the fact that you were there last night? That is, between the hours of 8 and 10:30.
Well, I guess if it's necessary, she might do it. Only she'll be sore.
Suppose you give us the telephone number and we'll check your story. If it fits, off you go. That all right?
Yeah, I guess so. Only she's sure going to be sore at me, man. Is she going to be sore?
A call to the frightened Lothario's girlfriend results in complete corroboration of his whereabouts at the time of the shooting. And this, together with the fact that aside from the cross eyes, the soda-drinking Mr. Riddle fits none of the other descriptions as to weight and height, leads to his release and the end of clue number 1. But Officer Smith is not to be discouraged by this. During the next 6 hours, 4 more cross-eyed men have been dragged to Condaffer's office, questioned, only to be released again. And late that evening, it becomes apparent to Smith that a cross-eyed man is no novelty in the city of Los Angeles. Leaving Condaffer's office for the 5th time that day, he starts once again on his search. It is in front of an employment agency on East 5th Street that he spots his 6th pair of cross eyes standing in line waiting his turn at the window. Moving past the line, Officer Smith continues to a spot down the street where he can watch its progression. And as his quarry at last stands before the agency window, he is directly behind him.
Next. That's me. What do you do? Well, anything, mister. I'm what you might call a handyman. Do anything.
Yeah, sort of jack of all trades, huh?
Yeah, that's the idea. I want to get work outside of California. I got to leave Los Angeles right away.
Mm-hmm. Well, there might be something up in the valley for you, but that's in California. I don't know exactly what I can do with you.
That's all right, buddy. I've got a spot for him right here in Los Angeles. Come on, you.
Say, what is this?
This is what you might call an arrest. Hello, Lieutenant.
What? Are you back again, Smith?
Yes, sir. This time I think we've got something.
Yeah, like the last time and the time before.
No, sir. This fellow fits the description down to the letter. And he was trying to get work out of the state.
All right. Bring him in.
Yes, sir. Come on in. The lieutenant wants to talk to you.
Well, I don't see what... Oh, all right, I'm coming.
That's right. Lieutenant Condaffer, this is Mr. Huntington.
What do you mean, Huntington? My name's Herring, Joe Herring.
That's fine, Mr. Herring. Just wanted to get it right.
Well, you got it right. Cockeyed Herring, they call me back in Georgia.
Well, suppose you just sit down here, Cockeyed. I've got a few questions to ask you, and then I'm going to let a couple of men look you over.
Well, for what?
I have an idea you know for what, Herring. What was your big hurry to get out of the state?
Well, I don't like California. It ain't treated me right.
Well, now that's too bad, Mr. Herring, but we'll have to take that up with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I'm an actor, see, and a good one, too. And back in Georgia, they know how good I am, but Hollywood wouldn't give me a break.
Thought maybe you'd be another Ben Turpin, is that it?
Listen, I'm better than Turpin. I'm funny, see, plenty funny.
Well, I'm going to give you a chance to prove just how funny you are. Smith, get that Carson fella in here, will you?
Yes, sir.
I want to see what he has to say.
Yes, sir.
Who's Carson, huh?
Oh, he's a gentleman who happened to witness a little fracas the other night. A couple of men who were shot up. One of them's dead now.
Yeah? And what's that got to do with me?
I don't know yet, Cockeyed.
Gee, Captain, you're not trying to pin something on me, are you?
Lieutenant is a rank, Herring, and we're not in the habit of pinning things on people in this department. It's all up to the people themselves.
I don't get you.
You will.
Right in here, Mr. Carson.
Yes, sir.
Come in, Mr. Carson. I want to introduce you to...
That's the bird that did it. Sure as I'm alive. He's the guy, all right.
What do you say to that, Cockeyed?
Oh, this guy must be crazy, Cap. I never saw him before in my life. He's nuts.
No good, Herring. No good at all. As an actor, you're pretty lousy.
The following morning, a considerably milder Cockeyed Herring is removed from his cell and escorted once again into Condaffer's office, where he is greeted by an ominous silence.
Say, what is this? A funeral or something? Why don't you guys say something?
We were waiting for you to talk first, Herring.
Well, what do you expect me to say? I suppose I should thank you for putting me up for the night or something.
Oh, no need of that. You still don't remember anything about a shooting?
No.
You don't remember standing in a little alleyway down near Griffith and Clinton and shooting a couple of fellows?
No.
You must be pretty hungry by now, aren't you, Cockeyed?
Say, now you're really talking. Hey, that's one thing about me I can sure eat.
A couple of nice sandwiches and some hot coffee would taste pretty good right now, wouldn't it?
Boy, would it? Hey, wait a minute. Well, what are you leading up to?
Nothing, Cockeyed, nothing at all. Just thought if you were hungry, we might fix you up. There's a plate of sandwiches and a whole pot of coffee in the next room there. Go on, help yourself.
You mean that?
Sure.
You mean in here?
That's right. Just open the door and go on in.
Boy, just watch me. Hey, I don't see no sandwiches. Red, hey, what are you doing here? Why'd you run out on me the other night?
Well, Fulton, you look kind of sick. What's the matter? Have you seen a ghost?
Yeah.
So you boys know each other, eh?
Hey, what are you talking about, huh? What are you trying to do?
We've done it, Cockeyed. Now, suppose you spill the whole story. We know all about your pal, Red Fulton, here. All we need now is your story. How about it?
Well, I guess I pulled a boner, didn't I?
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, all right. I'll tell you about it. I guess you guys got enough of me to hang me anyway. Guess it doesn't matter much what I say.
Take us down, Eddie.
But it's like I told you. I come here from Georgia to get in the moving pictures. And it wasn't because I wasn't a good actor that I didn't make it either.
Yeah, sure. We know, Cockeyed. Now, go ahead with your story.
Well, anyway, I didn't get anywhere at the studios, and at last I went broke. I only had a couple of dollars left. So I thought maybe some pictures of myself would help, and I went down to Venice Pier and had some made. I was dressed in a cowboy outfit with a big gun in my hand and leaning against a big wooden horse.
Well, what's all this got to do with your shooting those men?
Well, I got the pictures, and boy, I looked tough. Really tough. So I sent a couple back to some friends in Georgia, and I told them I was a real hard guy now.
Have you ever been confined in any institution, Harry?
Institution? You mean bug house?
More or less, yes.
Well, of course not. Say, what do you think I am, crazy?
Well, your story sounds a little, far-fetched.
Well, it's true, and I'm not crazy.
All right, Cockeye, suppose you go on with it.
Well, anyway, after I sent the pictures, I began thinking I was a hard guy. You know how you can kid yourself about those things. So I went around town here boasting how I'd killed a couple of guys and a lot of stuff like that, and...
Had you?
No. I'd never hurt anyone. Well, anyway, finally I was picked up and thrown in the can as a vag, and while I was in there, I met a guy named Delaney. He and I used to talk a lot, and I told him what a hard guy I was, and he believed me. So we both got out of the can finally, and, well, he suggested we go up and see an old friend of his, Red Fulton. We went over to Red's place and knocked on his door.
Hello, Red. How's Trick?
Well, when'd they let you out?
A couple hours ago. Yeah, meet a pal, Red. This is Cockeye Herring, Red Fulton. Cockeye's a pretty tough lad.
Yeah? Well, come on in and park yourself somewhere.
Yeah, sure, thanks. Now, Red, what's new?
Nothing much. Only I'm plenty sore right at this moment.
Yeah? About what?
I got into a beef with a couple of guys the other day, and it's left me feeling that way. I'd like to bust their necks, both of them.
Oh, why don't you?
They're pretty big, if you want to know the truth.
Oh, I get it.
And now that you got it, keep it.
Sure. Don't get sore at me, Red. I wouldn't say anything.
Why don't you get someone to get them for you?
Huh? Say, that's an idea at that.
Sure, and I know just the boy to do it. Cockeye here. He's plenty tough, ain't you, Cockeye?
Why, sure, I'm tough.
All right. I'll tell you what I'll do. You go out and give those guys a real beating. Black their eyes and break a couple of bones, and I'll pay you $50. That's how sore I am.
Well, you see,
How about it? You want to go?
Well, I don't know.
I thought you said this guy's tough, Delaney.
Sure, I'm tough.
Well, then, how about it?
Well, okay, you're on.
Here's the dope. These guys are going to a little beer joint I know about tomorrow night. You go over there, and when you see them, you ask if one of their names Murphy.
I was in kind of a spot, not one to admit I wasn't tough and still being scared to death.
And then what happened?
Well, I figured that in case something went wrong, I'd better take a gun, so I got hold of one, and the next night Fulton gave me Mrs. Smith's car and told me where to go and what these guys looked like. He said if I didn't black this Murphy guy's eyes, I wouldn't get the $50. So I drove over there, and when they showed up, I told them to stick up their hands. I thought that way I could smack them both and beat it.
So?
Well, so Murphy wouldn't stick up his hands, and he laughed at me. So I let him have it in the stomach. Then the other guy came after me. I let him have it, too. You see, I was scared.
You realize what this means for you, don't you, Herring?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, gosh, I didn't really want to shoot anyone. Well, it was just because I'd been boasting about being a hard guy. That's the reason I did it. I couldn't back down.
Acting upon this confession, Fulton and Herring are both charged with murder. But after hearing the state's case, Judge Marshall F. McComb dismisses the charge against Fulton, declaring that the prosecution has failed to show that he is linked to any conspiracy to kill either Leslie or Murphy. And one morning, Cockeye Herring, Georgia bad man, stands quietly before Judge McComb to receive sentence.
Joseph Herring, you have been found guilty of the murder of one Robert Leslie. Therefore, it is the sentence of this court that you be confined in the state penitentiary for the remainder of your life.
Holy smoke.
Furthermore, for the attempted murder of James Murphy, you must serve an additional sentence of from 1 to 14 years in the state penitentiary.
Well, gee, Judge, ain't life enough? What's the 14 years for? Interest?
The drivers of police cars, ambulances, fire engines are boosters for Rio Grande cracked gasoline. For more emergency cars are powered with Rio Grande cracked than any other gasoline everywhere it is sold. No one knows better than these veteran drivers how important it is to use a gasoline that meets emergencies with lightning-like action. You can enjoy the same advantages and the extra thrills of police car performance in your own car with Rio Grande cracked gasoline. For exactly the same gasoline that these emergency cars use is sold by your neighborhood Rio Grande dealer. Drive in and get a free copy of the Calling All Cars News, that fascinating publication with true detective stories, movie and radio news. Learn how you can supply every boy and girl of your acquaintance with the 14 free gifts that comprise the Rio Grande Junior Detective outfit at no cost to you. And learn about the Sinclair law of lubrication that enables your Rio Grande dealer to know exactly what grade of Sinclair motor oil your motor needs and exactly what grade of the 120 different Sinclair lubricants is needed for every part of your car. Sinclair Scientific Lubrication Service, applied according to your car manufacturer's specification, is now available at all 100% Rio Grande stations.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars, attention all cars, to cancellation of broadcast 138. Suspect in this case now in prison. That's all. Rosenquist.
This is your narrator, Frederick Lindsley, bidding you good night for the Rio Grande Oil Company.